Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. Today we're talking more Captain America. Today we're talking Red Menace. Hey everybody, and welcome back to BK's Bullets. As always, I am your host, Brent, and today we're going to be doing a review of Captain America Red Menace. This is the Ultimate Collection trade paperback. I don't know why it's called Ultimate Collection, because there's really the only thing that's ever been collected in a Red Menace trade paperback is in this trade paperback, but it is what it is. So we're going to talk about it, we're going to review it, but before we do that, I'd like to ask you to do one thing. Please subscribe. Helps me out, helps you know when I post new videos, helps the channel grow, get more eyeballs on it, and you will see more content like this. If you like it, hit that bell if you want to know exactly when I post new videos. We're doing 3 to 4 videos a week, and that is my promise to you, to have new comics reviews. We're going to be doing Falcon and Winter Soldier's reviews when that drops, and every Disney show, Marvel Disney show after that. Seems like that's the cool thing to do. So, without further ado, let's get back to the review. So, Captain America Red Menace. Now, last week I kind of bashed the Winter Soldier for not being a very good read as a standalone trade. It is a good read when you're reading it in context with everything else. That led to me reading Red Menace, which is technically Volume 2 of the Brubaker Captain America run. And boy, I really like this story, or stories. I really liked reading this reading experience, this trade. This is something that I think, like, you know, I don't know if it should be handed to you with the Winter Soldier trade paperback or whatever, but it's kind of a continuation. But the actual conclusion of the Winter Story arc, where Captain and Bucky kind of have a reckoning, is in the 21st Century Blitz story that happens at the end of this trade paperback. They're in London, they're stopping a giant robot, it's fun, it's cool. But it's Cap and Bucky actually talking to each other. They're not really talking about the issues or boy I've missed you or that kind of thing, because they're busy saving London, but they're working together, they're kind of like reunited in that kind of way. So it's really an emotional conclusion to the whole 13-issue saga that we read in The Winter Soldier. But let's talk about the rest of the stuff that's in this book. That's a whole lot of fun too. So, the first story in here is Crossbones torturing the girl he kidnapped at the beginning, or sometime in the middle of the Winter Soldier trade paperback. And her name is Sin, and she is the Red Skull's daughter, and she's been brainwashed by S.H.I.E.L.D. to forget that she is a terrible fucking person. And Crossbones is doing everything he can, and, well, not everything. He's not really, like, giving her therapy. He's just beating the crap out of her, torturing her, waterboarding her, all sorts of terrible, terrible things you never want to see happen to a human being. But he's being so cruel and sadistic to her to try and break this brainwashing that S.H.I.E.L.D's put on her, to reemerge her true personality, this evil person, this Sin character. And it happens. So, I guess they were, I don't know if they were romantic before. There's a whole lot of history in this trade for the, I guess, what had happened previously in Captain America before they rebooted the series, about Red Skull dying and Red Skull having a kid, where Sin came from. So there is a whole lot of backstory, but it is explained pretty good that I don't think you need to go read anything else. Certainly, I don't know where to go point you to go read it. I guess you could go look it up on Wikipedia or something like that to find out when all this happened. Or if it's a retcon, I don't even know if it's a retcon that this stuff happens in here. That is to say, it's explained very well. I don't think you need to go any further than what's already here in the book. So that story is, while it's unusually cruel and sadistic, it is a little bit fun to read. And to see that these two, Crossbones and Sin, go on like a wrecking spree after that is fun to read. Because it basically, this trade is Captain America and Agent 13, or Sharon Carter if you are watching Falcon and the Winter Soldier. They're going and tracking basically Crossbones and Sin across the country to try and find them, because they're leaving a path of destruction in their wake. And at the same time, they're also looking for the Winter Soldier. There's a two-parter story in here that is fun, where Captain America and Sharon Carter stumble upon this town that is controlled by AIM, like an underground AIM lab, and they're like, literally, the lab is underneath Main Street. So this, since the 90s, apparently, last 10 or 15 so years when the story takes place in like 2005, 2006, AIM has been running this town with an underground lab and bribing officials or blackmailing them into secrecy and stuff like that. That is a fun story, and how they break that up, and they're hot on Bucky's trail, but at the same time, Crossbones and Sin are there, and it's kind of a trap, for Cap and Sharon. So that's fun. So a little bit of a correction, and I realized this as I was reading. There's a Marvel Spotlight interview in the back of this trade, talking about the Winter Soldier run. Is in the last video, I thought that Mike Perkins was doing inks over Steve Epting, and I haven't gone back to look at it. I thought the same thing was happening in here because Mike Perkins does ink from time to time. But what's happening in this book is that you have Mike Perkins doing the first couple of stories by himself as an artist, which he did on Stephen King's The Stand. I think is the last thing that I've really seen him on. He's been working in between. Don't get me wrong. Please don't get mad at me. But that's the last notable thing that I've seen him on, that I took notice of anyway. And that was many, many years ago. So haven't been keeping up. I know he did some Carnage stuff as well. But he's a great artist in his own right, but he also does some inking from time to time. What I didn't realize is that his style is so similar to Steve Epting's that Steve Epting inks himself. So that's what's happening in the 21st Century Blitz stuff, is you got Steve Epting doing all of the art except the colors, which are still done by Frank D'Armata. But these guys' styles are so similar, so seamlessly melded together, that when you go from one story to the next, it's hard to tell where one stops and where one begins. Especially if you have Mike Perkins, who may have inked over Steve Epting. So my apologies there that I got it wrong. I'm going to get some stuff wrong from time to time. So right after the the AIM storyline with the town, you get this 65th anniversary special, which is a total break from art. You got Javier Pulido and Marcos Martin doing this story. It's a really extra long tail, and it is an essential read. It's not just like a flashback story that you don't need to read. It's basically like the explanation of the setup, where they're tracking Bucky, and that he finds the granddaughter or whatever of his lover in the war. And then the flashback story is him meeting the girl who they are referencing in the previous issue. When this story ends, they're talking about it in the next issue, that how tragic it is that Bucky woke up and found out the woman he loved had moved on with her life, and now has children. And Cap is like, yeah, that is really weird to experience, as he's looking at the niece of the woman that he loved, Peggy Carter, in the war, and he's dating her as well. So it's also double weird. But it's a great story in its own right. It's also, everything in here is written by Brubaker. Just that flashback, Javier Pulido and Marcos Martin doing the art on this story. They're switching off chapters, I think. They're also two guys who have very similar styles that meld together greatly. They were doing this stuff on the One More Day or Brand New Day stuff on Spider-Man, and or was it some of the Dan Slott run as well. So great stuff here, and they're kind of simpler style as opposed to the more realistic style of Mike Perkins and Steve Epting. Gives it that good flashback quality that you're kind of reading a comic from the 40s or the 50s telling this World War II tale. Once that's done, we jump into kind of the meat of the book, which is the 21st Century Blitz storyline. Everybody's over in London and England. They're tracking the Winter Soldier. They're tracking Sin and Crossbones at the same time, and they're battling. I forget what this guy, Commander, Master Mold. I don't know. It's something about Master Man, I think, is this Nazi character, Nazi super soldier. They're battling him. Like I said, there's some secret giant robot in the tunnels, and then you have Cap and Bucky working in the last issue together, just because he's like, oh, hey, there's Bucky. And he's calling him Bucky. He's like, Bucky, come over here. And Bucky's looking at Cap in danger, and he's yelling, oh, Cap, look out. And they've fully reverted back to their selves, from 70 years prior or whatever. And, best friends, but they haven't really sat down and had a conversation oh man, I'm so glad you're back, or I've missed you. But just that portion of seeing them in action makes this story really, really fun to read. There's also some stuff in here with Union Jack and Spitfire, who are British heroes. Spitfire was also apparently in the Invaders in the 40s. I'm not really familiar with either of these characters, but there's a fun history to both of them and the way that they team up Union Jack with Sharon Carter, and then Cap takes Spitfire because they're old buddies, and she even had a crush on him at one time. Spitfire seems to have super speed, I think, in this really weird yellow and red costume, which is kind of gaudy and ugly. Meanwhile, Union Jack has, I think, one of the better costumes. You know, even compared to Captain America, he's just wearing the flag, but it's since the British flag is so big and so intricate, it looks awesome on him. So that's fun. So yeah, Red Menace I think is a great little Captain America story. Like, you could recommend this to a new reader because, you know, you can just give them the background as the guy that they're hunting used to be his former partner. If you want that story, go read Winter Soldier. Or if you give somebody Winter Soldier, you could give this to them as a follow-up, and that might be a good 1-2 punch combo of introduction to Captain America. Hey, here's Winter Soldier complete collection, here's Red Menace complete collection. You get the beginning of the emotional arc for Captain America and almost the end of it here with the 21st Century Blitz storyline where they have to team up even though they still don't really have like a big conversation. But it brings everything like full circle from the themes that are developed in Winter Soldier. But on its own, this is still a really fun trade paperback. The 64th anniversary special is a great story with Marcos Martin, Javier Pulido doing the art on there. And then you got Mike Perkins with the Sin and Crossbones issue in the very beginning. That crazy stuff. The Ames Town, also done by Mike Perkins, and then the Epting story in the back. Really, really fun trade. I definitely recommend this. Don't skip over it if you're reading the Captain America Brubaker run. And just think you can go from Winter Soldier to the big Death of Captain America book trade that we're gonna, you know, it'll be the next Captain America video I post. Will be a review of that. Don't think you can skip this for sure. There's some essential storytelling that's going on here, and there's even, from what I remember of Death of Captain America, there's some setup here with Sharon Carter. If you've read the book, if you've read that story, you know what I'm talking about. And when I read it, I don't think I had read Red Menace the first time I read that Death in Captain America storyline, because I picked it up from 25 on. So when what happens to Sharon, or the revelation happens, I never read the issue where that was set up. That's set up in this trade. So it's also crucial for that point going forward. And that's something that Brubaker's really good at, apparently, is keeping you moving into the next storyline and tying everything together. And that's why this run is so good. So I'm really enjoying reading this run. Red Menace is an enjoyable trade by itself. Gets a thumbs up and a recommendation from me, so go pick it up if you're interested. So thank you guys for watching. Let me know down below what you think of Captain America Red Menace. We will see you guys next time in the Funny Pages.